What's our third topic today?
Next up is Fanimator. Hey, John, Jordan Peele's Us just opened to a humongous $70 million. I predicted around 55 to 60 million. What are your thoughts? Do you think Us overperformed?
Did it overperform? Yeah, it overperformed. That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing at all. Just to highlight too, Us is a movie that I think I was really entertained by. I I'm not going to give any spoilers away. For those of you who've seen the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. I thought the ending was quite bad. I thought the ending was a bit of a cop-out ending and made absolutely no sense. And the more, like me and my buddy, who also very much enjoyed the movie, and I really enjoyed the movie too, but my buddy Sol, who also really enjoyed the movie, the more we talked about the ending, like we came up with like 35 to 40
Mm-hmm.
major holes. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, wait a minute, if this is the ending, this makes no sense, and that makes no sense, and that it goes on and on and on. But other than that, as you lead up, like 8/10 of the movie, I thought were quite engaging and riveting, and I had a really good time with it. $70 million is still quite a result. Now let's put this in context, people. 70 million, yeah, where Captain Marvel had a $150 million opening. Avengers Endgame is going to have anywhere between 250 and maybe even $300 million opening. But put in context just how big of a number this $70 million is. When you are talking about the biggest opening weekends in horror movie history, it is the third largest opening in the history of the
Wow.
genre of horror. Of course, number one came from 2017 It. That made 123.4 million. The second biggest was last year, of course, with the relaunch. It's not a reboot, it's a relaunch of the Halloween franchise with 76.2. And now Us, Jordan Peele's, just his second film at 70.2 million. Also in perspective, it is the highest opening weekend in the history of the horror genre for an original horror film. Obviously, It, not original. Halloween, not original. Us, original. Number one opening box office weekend for an original horror film. So put that in perspective about just how big and how massive this accomplishment really is. Did it overperform? Yeah, the tracking all had it coming in a little bit lower than that. Like they weren't tracking for $20 million and then it launched at 70, but all the tracking was a little bit lower. Did overperform a little bit, and that's a good thing. But it tells us a little bit about the drawing power of Jordan Peele. And because what he did with Get Out, which I think is a better movie than Us, but still it's two wins. He's 2 for 2 on these things. But you had a lot of momentum coming out of Get Out. You had a lot of people actually who were just looking forward to this. Number one, you've got the Black Panther cast reunion. You got Winston Duke and you got Lupita Nyong'o. It's Jordan Peele's second film. It's his follow-up film to Get Out. So there's all that momentum. Plus, we are in the middle of a renaissance of the horror genre. Horror is
Mm-hmm.
coming back to the forefront again. You put all those things together, and I think it's a pretty darn good movie. Again, not as good as Get Out, whatever, but you put all that together with the fact that it's a pretty good movie. And really, when you think about it, none of us should be really surprised about the $70 million opening. I mean, it's another big thing of success. Now, studios are going to be lining up to work with Jordan Peele. He's shown that Get Out wasn't just a fluke.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so people can be lining up for it. Now, you mentioned off the top that you just saw it this
Yeah, I
weekend.
went with
What were your
three.
general impressions of it?
I went with three of my girlfriends for our Sunday scary night, and we had a good time. It was funny. We were all split. Like one of us was like, "I loved it," and I was like, "I was fine," and then my other friend was like, "I liked it." Like we were just all over the place. I had the same exact issue. I won't say anything, but I was very frustrated at the end, and I spent all night on Reddit going into deep dives of different theories, which actually made me like it a little bit more. So, and I would recommend people see it personally in the theater because it is a fun movie to see in a big group of people. Like, there's a lot of little creepy scares, and it was fun to see in a theater rather than just like I would prefer it in the theater than sitting at home on my couch because I think if I saw it at home, I would have been like even more like meh. I don't know, but I liked it, I will say.
Here's the other
But
thing too. One of the things you
Get
bring up
Out
is because Get Out is better. Is that it is a film for good reason, for bad. It is a film that you walk out and you do instantly feel like you need to talk about it. And like whether it's jumping on Reddit or like me and my buddy got together afterwards and we just talked about it. And there's something special about that. When you walk out of a movie and you just feel this insensate need that I got to talk about this, whether it's with somebody right now or dive on Reddit or do whatever.
Yeah.
And it's got that going for it. And I think you're going to see a strong second weekend from it. If for no other reason that everybody wants to talk about this thing. And we're going to see this movie have legs. We're going to see it have legs.